Hello, I'm Harry Thibodeau, and I welcome our global audience to Kourou, French Guiana for the 201st Ariane launch.
Good evening, Harry, and everyone around the world. Thank you for joining us tonight for this live broadcast.
And the Ariane 5 is on the pad. The satellites are fine. Everything is green for launch. But first, some comments from Yves Logghe, Chairman and CEO of Ariane Space.
Good evening. So this is the second attempt for V-201. You remember that on March 30 we had what we call an aborted launch. That means that the Vulcan 2 engine stopped a few seconds after its ignition and before the ignition of the solid boosters. Since then, our teams have investigated all scenarios and issues that could have caused this shutdown. All the suspected elements have been changed, and so tonight we are ready to launch. It's a very important mission because it will be the very first satellite for our two customers. Tonight, the performance of Ariane 5 will set a new record of 10,050 kilos for the geostationary transfer orbit. On one side, Yahsat 1A, which is a very big telecommunications spacecraft weighing 5,956 kilograms. On the other side, Intelsat New Dawn, a very modern spacecraft which has a mass of 3 metric tons. So the last 3 weeks have been very busy. Going forward, much work lies ahead. 4 Ariane 5 missions, several Soyuz flights, and the inaugural Vega mission. But now I invite you to witness this Ariane 5 launch of Yahsat 1A and Intelsat New Dawn.
And welcome back. With just under 12 minutes to go before liftoff, my partner tonight is Julian Mazur from the Mission Analysis Department at Ariane Space.
Yes, and we have an action-packed broadcast for you tonight.
Well, we certainly do. Final preparations for launch, videos presenting the main contributors to the mission, and, of course, the flight itself this evening. And the board is green for go.
Exactly. This green board gives us a continuous update on the status of all the systems. This includes the launch vehicle, the 2 satellites, the launch pad, and the weather. And right now you can see that everything is going perfectly. So we are now seeing the top officials responsible for making the final decisions concerning this launch. Yves Logghe, Chairman and CEO, Edouard Perez, Chief Technical Officer, and Patrick Loire, Head of Ariane Space Guyana Establishment, all from Ariane Space. And then Michel Aymar, Director of Launchers at CNES.
And again, we are now just under 11 minutes to go to launch. And we see that board. It tells us that we are clean and green, and that means that we are closing in on the launch. But we want to take a moment to take a look at the launcher campaign and how we got to where we are tonight. Here at the Guyana Space Center, the installations and various integration buildings allow us to conduct 2 Ariane 5 campaigns in parallel. This permits Ariane Space to increase its cadence and thus to satisfy the increasing demand from satellite clients. The Koyo is the launch site operations manager for Ariane Space. For this campaign, it's Patrick Rousset.
The launch site manager's job begins before the start of the campaign to ensure the availability of all the launch facilities. Everything has to be ready at the right time and when required for the launcher.
Simultaneous to the launcher integration campaign, the satellite teams are working on their side in order to be ready to join the launcher at the final assembly building. Tonight, the upper passenger, Yahsat 1A.
Yahsat 1A is part of a turnkey system built by a consortium of Astrium and Thales acting jointly. It is made of several types of ground terminals, 2 satellites, and an overall management system. Concerning the Y1A satellite itself, the bus is under Astrium responsibility, whereas the payload is under Thales Alenia Space responsibility, which is a well-proven industrial organization.
The satellite in lower position is Intelsat New Dawn. Their team knows the CSG well. Tonight is the 52nd satellite entrusted by Intelsat to Arianespace.
This is my 20th year here in French Guiana, and I always enjoy working with the Arianespace team, the CSG, and the Kness team. It's always good to work with the old people that I've met in the past, and also some of the new people that have joined the team.
All this experience allows for extremely efficient operations. From the earliest planning meetings to the last moments of the countdown, everything has been perfectly synchronized.
There are important daily tasks to be carried out and checked, following what we call the critical path of activities. But the most important moments are those during the launcher transfers between different zones.
These many months of planning and coordination came to a head yesterday when the launch vehicle and the two satellites rolled from the bath to the launch pad. It took about an hour to make that journey. And I had the pleasure of going out there and watching it. I even put some of that video up on Facebook yesterday. Less than 8 minutes to go now in the countdown. All systems are go. We're located a few kilometers from the launch pad in the Jupiter facility. We're on the Atlantic Ocean, just north of Brazil. We're in a rainforest, and we're about 300 miles from the equator.
Yes, and we now discover some of the key officials at Jupiter. The program director has coordinated all details since the contract was signed with the customer. They make sure that both the satellite and the launcher remain on schedule and ready to launch. Then we saw Luca Chiecchio of Arianespace. He has overseen the Yahsat 1A program, and then Thomas Panozzo is the program director who has worked hand-in-hand with Intelsat New Dawn. And we also saw the representative from both clients.
And, of course, everyone is working in what we call the fishbowl here at Jupiter.
And we now discover one key person, the DDO, Antoine Guillaume. And then he is about to announce a milestone in the countdown, the 7-minute mark.
Okay.
Top. H0 -7 minutes.
And we have now entered the automated sequence. Julian, you're an engineer. What does that mean?
In fact, the objective of this sequence is to do the last setting to put the launcher into flight configuration. As we get closer to the liftoff, the launcher gets step-by-step more independent of human oversight. This is done by two computers located in the Launch Operation Center.
Well, even though it's computer-controlled, the final decision, does it rest in a human hand?
Yes, absolutely, Harry. Humans can stop it at any time.
Well, we see the engineers that you spoke about. They're at what's called the CDL-3. I drove by that place a couple of days ago. It looks like a bunker.
Yes, it really is a bunker. The walls and roof are several feet thick, and it is closed off to the outside world. It is so close to the launcher that should there be a serious issue, those people would be safe.
Alrighty, I'd love to go there. Who's in that bunker?
There are two teams working there, the launch operations team headed by Patrick Lucet tonight, and the Ariane program production team under the direction of Pierre-Yves Tissier. Then they are monitoring everything from the loading of propellant into the Ariane 5 to checking out all the electrical systems and the flight program software. And of course, monitoring the condition of our payloads, Yahsat 1A and Intelsat New Dawn.
Okay, it goes on my bucket list. Get in CDL-3 and drive the little truck that takes the rocket out to the pad. 5 minutes, 30 seconds till launch. And there is a great picture of the Ariane 5 on the pad. All is green. We also see officials from Teleselenia Space and Astrium who manufactured the Yahsat 1A spacecraft. Yahsat is a brand new company, and it's their first satellite. They've entrusted it with us. This trust comes from the fact that Ariane 5 is the most reliable heavy launch vehicle out there. 56 launches overall, 42 successes in a row, 75 payloads successfully launched into orbit. Tonight, Yahsat rides in the top position on the Ariane 5 ECA.
Yes, and Ariane 5 is the best solution to launch two satellites into GTO like we are doing tonight. There are actually two versions of the Ariane 5. The ECA is the most powerful version, allowing to put two telecommunication satellites into geostationary transfer orbit. And on selected missions, we used the Ariane 5 ES, as we did 2 months ago, to launch the ATV to the International Space Station. And now we discover a description of the Ariane 5 ECA with the two solid rocket boosters with an height of 31.6 meters. In the middle, the main cryogenic stage with an height of 31 meters and a mass of 188 tons. And on top of this main cryogenic stage, we have the cryogenic upper stage, which has a height of 4.7 meters and mass of 19 tons. And the fairing inside the two satellites are hidden on ground with an height of 17 meters and a mass of 2.6 tons.
We're now under the 4-minute mark. Everything remains green here in Kourou. Intelsat New Dawn rides in the lower position under the Silda. It's the first private sector communications satellite for Africa.
Yeah, and we'll now discover some officials from Intelsat New Dawn and Orbital Sciences Corporation, which manufactured the satellites.
Well, both Intelsat and Orbital Sciences, they know Kourou very well. Intelsat has entrusted 51 of their satellites to Ariane Space since 1985, and I know that dignitaries around the world are watching closely for that launch. Special hello to Diane Van Beaver, the investor relations person from Intelsat. Today's her birthday, and we're going to light a big candle for her here in just a couple of minutes.
Yes, and we're back on this really great picture of the Ariane 5 on its launch pad, ready to launch at 3 minutes before the liftoff right now. And we can say that right now everything is always green, so we continue the sequence completely nominally, and then we will discover what is hidden under the fairing. So you can discover Yahsat 1A, which is the satellite tonight for Alia Satellite Communications Company. It has a mass of 5,956 kilograms and will go on the orbital position of 52.5 degrees east. And inside the Silda, the black structure, you have Intelsat New Dawn.
And again, it's going up for Intelsat. It's a telecommunications satellite, 3,000 kilograms, and it will provide services to Africa. We're closing in now on the 2-minute mark, and we see that Ariane 5 bearing it carries the signature of South Africa's Nelson Mandela as a special tribute to the Intelsat New Dawn satellite. It's a beautiful night here in Kourou, and actually we haven't had rain all day long, so it's been a super day. We see the two arms that surround the Ariane 5. Are they holding the rocket up?
No, it is only the gravity. He's holding the 780-ton Ariane 5 upright. These two arms are used to support the fuel lines, which are topping of the liquid propellants. We continue to top up the cryogenic fuel until just before launch. It is extremely cold, and obviously here in Kourou, it's really hot. So the fuel boils off, and we have to keep the tanks full.
Boy, I'm getting excited. What are we going to see in the final seconds before liftoff?
Then you will see these two arms withdraw a few seconds before main engine ignition at H0. Then the Vulcan 2 engine will burn for 7 seconds, while the computers make a final check of all systems. Then the signal is sent to the two solid boosters to ignite, and then Ariane